So we got this from Jersey City Times. Fulop fires aide who donated to sister's anti-LGBTQ campaign for Missouri Secretary of State. Okay. You know Valentina Gomez? Actually, I think we have her tweet right here. And I don't know that I can play her video because she has posted things that have overtly violated social media rules. But because she's running for political office, they're allowed to remain. So we have this from The Advocate. Missouri Republican anti-gay slur-filled post remains on Instagram despite violating Meta's policies. That being said, I don't know that I can play her videos because, I can do this. I can pre-screen them, I guess. But so she's talking about the mayor who's trying to be the next governor of New Jersey, threatening her brother with firing. And she's got him on video, making him choose between his family or his job. She says, you should have chosen your words more carefully because you do not sound like a Democratic mayor. You sound like a dictator. She says you can't be governor. It's not the way to treat your employees or any human. She is mentioning, she plays a recording. Oh, this is interesting. I'm going to play the recording for you. It is what it is.
And John, if you think that is boldness, I am going to fire you. I'm going to look in 5 minutes. If it's not clear where you stand, then you're not with me. You're with her, and you can't work with me. Period. Okay? Like, that's it.
No,
end of story. 5 minutes.
Today, the mayor.
So that's that. Okay, so that's the full video. Nothing too crazy in it. This is absolutely wild. Take a look at this. Stephen Fulop. This is the mayor of Jersey. Let's read the news story here. And without burying the lead, just to give you the quick context, this is a Democrat mayor who illegally tried to coerce a staffer to make a political statement. Otherwise, he would be fired. And my understanding is, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. They say capping a day of fast-moving events, Mayor Stephen Fulop has fired an aide who donated to his sister's anti-LGBTQ campaign for Missouri Secretary of State. I don't think it's fair to call her campaign anti-LGBTQ. I think it's fair to say she made anti-LGBTQ statements. In a tweet on X tonight directed at his sister, Valentina Gomez, Fulop said, as of tomorrow, he no longer works there because he doesn't reflect the values of the city. The contributions of Valentina Gomez's campaign by her brother, Jonathan Gomez, and aide to Fulop were first reported by the Jersey City Times on Friday. Fulop's tweet tonight appears to have been in response to Valentina Gomez, who in her own tweet earlier threatened the mayor with a huge lawsuit for his treatment of her brother. In a video, she plays back a portion of a recorded phone call between the mayor and Jonathan, in which the mayor appears to demand a clear disavowal of Valentina Gomez's views. John, if you think this is boldness, I'm going to fire you. I'm going to look in 5 minutes. If it's not clear where you stand, then you're not with me. You're with her, and you can't work with me, period. An aide to Fulop until tonight, Gomez had been appointed to the mayor's LGBTQ plus task force and was a member of the LGBTQ plus task force outreach and public relations committee. Pressure on the administration built early in the day, with Hudson Pride Center announcing that its members would be resigning from the task force. Only a few hours later, Fulop told Hudson County View via X that Gomez would be stepping down. According to Fulop's press secretary, the views expressed 1,000 miles away in Missouri are shameful and have no place here in Jersey City. In a written statement on Friday, Jonathan Gomez told the Jersey City Times, "Well, I support all of my family members, including my sister Valentina, in their personal endeavors. We often have different views. My life story and trajectory reflect my commitment to inclusivity, respect, and equality for all individuals. I do not share the views expressed in her statement." Today, Gomez expanded on that statement in a statement released to the Jersey Journal, saying, "Let me be clear, I do not support any hateful remarks directed toward the LGBTQ plus community or any individual. Political differences should not destroy families." Gomez's explanations appear to have been insufficient for Mayor Fulop, who has prided himself on his support for the LGBT plus community and is running for governor. Late this afternoon, Executive Craig Guy called for Gomez to be fired. Valentina Gomez virulently homophobic views had come to light on Thursday after she posted a video to X that garnered over 18 million views excoriating transgender athletes. In the video, she says, quote, "These Fs should get their own F category because before, if a man hit a woman, it used to land him in jail. Now it gets you a gold medal at the Olympics. And these are the worst Olympics in history. They've made a mockery out of Christianity and women. And let me remind you, there's no such thing as a chick with a D." Gomez was apparently referring to the controversial boxing match in which one of the fighters failed gender eligibility tests. That's right, plural, 2 of them. According to the campaign finance records, her brother Jonathan made 4 contributions to her campaign totaling $1,250. Earlier today, Valentina Gomez doubled down in the controversy with an incendiary tirade directed at Ward F. Councilman Frank Gilmore, who called for Gomez's removal from the task force. Gomez accused him of killing countless innocent human beings as a drug dealer. Gilmore was incarcerated as a teenager following a drug conviction. Jeez, this is crazy. They go on to say that Valentina's videos often punctuate with F-bombs and images with her firearms target more than trans people. In one video, once elected, she says she will get right to work saving children from groomers and pedos. According to the ADL, far-right figures use the term grooming and groomer to falsely imply or explicitly claim that LGBTQ plus people are pedos. Wrong, and that's a lie. It's pretty crazy how you can have gays against groomers, an organization that is comprised of LGBTQ plus people who are concerned about pedos masquerading as just simple LGBTQ activists. And then when you try to call out literal pedos, they're like, you're talking about gay people. And it's like, no, I'm not. Who are you talking about? That's the lie they play. In a post on July 10th, Gomez says we must start mass deportations before they become U.S. citizens. These criminals are already here, raping and killing American women. Well, we have this from Stephen Fulop. I followed him because he's probably going to lock his account. He says, Valentina, first, your brother was an at-will employee for the city. As of tomorrow, he no longer works there because he doesn't reflect the values of the city. Second, you can see how strongly I feel about LGBTQ community, and I'll share the text messages we exchange so people know I'll fight for them when people are watching, and the same when they can't see what I'm doing. He may have actually just published evidence of criminal activity and maybe subject to serious civil penalties, as well as, it's probably going to be civil. I don't know that it'll be criminal because I'll just read it. So he wrote to Jonathan, an employee, the only thing that matters was one sentence, quote, to be clear, I do not support my sister's hateful speech or campaign. I love her as my sister, but I don't condone her actions that have become progressively more vile over the last few months. That was a quote sent by the mayor to Gomez's brother he wanted him to say. He says anything less isn't acceptable and doesn't reflect the values of our office. To be clear, there's nothing bold about our actions or your actions supporting her, and there is nothing that being a Columbia or Olympian that is relevant with regards to not being clear here. There are plenty of vile people, sure, that have been part of both Olympics and Columbia. And then let me jump here. Where does it say he stand on this? It's hard because the texts are out of order. Okay, he says, you need to put out something more clear that says, 1, you are resigning from the task force. 2, you find her comments disgusting and condemn them publicly. 3, your family is one thing, but this is between us. You absolutely cannot campaign for her or support her publicly, as those values are counter to who we stand for. You should make it clear on the thread with Gilmore and your social media. You need to be clear where you stand on this. Jonathan responded, hi, Mayor. Thank you for your guidance. This really sucks. I'll draft up something and send it your way for your review. And he goes, don't send it my way. It needs to be from you and clear on what you believe and where you stand. He says, yes, sir. Would it be okay if you reviewed it first? And he says, no, we will look to what you say on NLW, on social, I guess it meant now, on social and how you respond and how strong. And I can't be more clear that I am taking you at your word that you aren't there to help her. But pictures or any evidence of campaigning will result in termination from the city entirely, as those values have no place in Jersey City. I am not involved in her antics or your feelings here, and we will see how you handle it on your values and where you share, and we will decide next steps from there. Many people quickly pointed out that it's illegal. Someone pointed out, you got to charge your phone. Says, I know. Mike Cernovich says you tried to force an employee to issue a personal statement unrelated to his job and then fired him in retaliation. You can't do this even to an at-will employee. Andy No says you're really abusive to your subordinate in the text you posted and what you said in the phone call. This is my takeaway aside from the horrible politics involved. Ashley St. Clair says you cannot force an employee to issue a statement against a family member, let alone his sister, unrelated to his job. This is insane. Hope he sues. There is one person who did link to the law. I think I have it here. Andrew Follett said this is wrongful termination, idiot, and you just confessed. He then links to this website that says Section 1983 of federal law, known as the Civil Rights Act of 1871, and the New Jersey Civil Rights Act, NJSA 10-6-1, make it clear that firing government workers who are not policymakers because of their political affiliation is unlawful retaliation. Specifically, it constitutes illegal political retaliation under Section 1983 for any person acting under color of law to deprive any other person of their constitutionally protected rights or privileges. So, holy crap. This dude just outright admitted publicly that he broke the law. And many people are saying this is going to result in him seeing a 6-figure lawsuit. He will lose this one. And wow, that's pretty surprising. Now, it's interesting here. Jersey City Times writes, Hudson Pride Center resigns from Jersey City LGBTQ task force over aid to Fulop. So here's the story. The mayor, he's political, of course. He's seeing people threaten to quit, resign, or whatever. Some did, apparently. So in his mind, he goes, I got to tell this guy to stop because we're losing team members. Wrong move. I'll tell you how I handle these things. And it's not really an issue here because, we're like an eclectic bunch and we're free speech. We've got people who work at Timcast who are pro-Zionist, literal Zionist, 100%. I think 2 people, maybe just 1. We've got people here who are absolutely anti-Zionist. And not once has either of them ever come to me and said, make the other person stop talking. Not once has either of them ever came to me and said, I will quit unless that other person stops talking about these things. Because we are sane, rational, normal people. And I pride Timcast on that. Now, in the event, someone came to me and said, I think this person is crossing the line and they shouldn't be saying these things and it should be dealt with. My response would be something like, go tell them that. It's not up to me. I am not here to tell the people who work here what their political opinions are allowed to be. If in their official duties as an employee, they attacked an advertiser, a sponsor, creating a conflict of interest, or tried to damage the show, I'd fire them. If the post they were making was that Timcast sucks and you shouldn't be a member, I'd say you're fired because you're destroying us. But if they do their job, they do it well, and then they have political opinions on social media, that has nothing to do with this company. And then there's a question, however. Let's say someone went online and said shockingly vile things like pro-groomer or whatever, and they worked at Timcast. Well, then we actually may have a conundrum here, where ultimately my first point to them would be like, why would you want to be here if you are holding views that are counter to our moral philosophies and our stated company missions? And there's an interesting question that I think is absolutely fair. A lot of people got mad when Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens went at it, and then the Daily Wire, they ended the contract with Candace, and they were like, why can't Candace criticize Israel or whatever? Well, I tell you this, by all means, it's fair to say that you think the Daily Wire is a pro-Israel company and doesn't want anyone working there who's going to say anything anti-Israel. There is a challenge, though. I think everyone would accept that we have different moral lines and that you listening at home, if you ran a company and you hired a guy to flip burgers, and then he started posting on social media that he was like pro-groomer or something, you'd probably want to fire him too. And you'd say it's detrimental to our business. But I think there's a reasonable approach to it. And there's a challenge to it. So my view is, if you do try to engage in this behavior where you're like, you are saying things that are so shockingly egregious, it's actually hurting the company. Well, then you've got choices to make. You do. I have a very, very wide threshold for tolerance of speech, but it's not absolute. If someone came here and was pro-groomer, I'd probably be like, this is not the place for you, and I don't think you should be here. We are a political commentary company, specifically in the business of talking politics and commentary. So when you speak online, you are actually directly involved in this process. If we made cheeseburgers and they were saying things politically, like, I don't know, do we make cheeseburgers? I don't know anything about politics. So for us, we do have that line. However, when it comes to general politics, foreign war, like Elad Eliyahu's a neocon, but the guy's great. You know what I mean? Like, we get into arguments. I get real mad at his opinions. We've gotten into it on the show. I think it's a good show. I despise his pro-war intervention, unipolar America views, but he does a great job reporting, and I appreciate his perspective because we can have that challenge. So I don't see a reason to get rid of the guy. Even though I'm like, I really don't like his views. Most of our audience doesn't like his views. They're like, he's a neocon. He's a neocon. He calls himself a Bolton bro. But the funny thing is, the Timcast audience, the people who watch, because of the views we hold and we're willing, this is the audience who has come to appreciate the show. The people who don't like Ian, stop watching. The people who don't like Hannah Claire, stop watching. The people who don't like Phil, stop watching. And the people who are willing to tolerate individuals and views they don't like, keep watching. So it is a challenge. I will say that. But ultimately what it comes down to is this guy made a huge mistake. He was wrong to do this. What I would say is to this guy, I would ask him, if I was the mayor of a city, I'd say, actually, I'll put it this way. Let's say a Timcast employee is a far leftist, high profile, saying crazy, nasty things about Donald Trump and stuff like that. I'd go to the person. Actually, it'd be simple. I'd be like, I don't know, you're not your sister, and it's not an issue at all. Let's say the individual is donating to his sister who is saying these things. I'd still just be like, you're not your sister. So it's an easy question for me. Let's say people complained and they were like, look what he's supporting. Look what he's doing. This reflects badly. I'll quit. My response would be, then quit. Look, man, if you don't want to be here, you shouldn't be here. And if someone's got a family member that's running for office and they support him, I don't know what to tell you. I can't police people's lives and their political opinions. We're in the political commentary business, so there's more of an overlap in with what they say and how our business operates. If they were doing things publicly, like going out and saying things to hurt us with their sister, then I'd be like, that's their direct actions. I can consider that. But this is a story about a dude who, by simple affiliation, they threatened to get rid of because whiny babies were going to quit over it. Wrong move. Wrong move. You know, ultimately, I'll just end by saying nothing's absolute. There's no easy answers here, but we all have our moral lines. And I do believe there's a fair threshold where if someone who worked at Timcast was saying things that were like detrimental or shockingly offensive, I'd have no problem with asking them to leave. But I would never retaliate against someone or force them to make a statement. I would just first be like, hey, like, these things are bad for us. If you like the company and like what we do, you should probably not do that. If you really do want to do it, I'm not going to tell you to stop, but sooner or later, it's going to be cause a serious problem where people are not going to want to work with you. And if they can't work with you, then I don't know how you can work here. So I try to be reasonable, but anyway, I'll wrap it up there. Next segment is tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Go check out the show. It'll be a lot of fun. Big news today, of course, and become a member at timcast.com to support our work. With your support, we will push back on the fake news and the smear merchants. You can follow me on X at Timcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Timcast. For those that are watching live, I will now jump to some super chats before we sign out. And for everyone else, we'll see you all tonight at 8 p.m.